Hi, I'm Shane with the Drum Center of Portsmouth in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. We're on the web at drumcenternh.com, and we have a very special video today. We are showcasing the Tama Star line. Now, this video isn't necessarily a shootout because there are a few size discrepancies on the toms, but what this video really is intended to do is give you a good, clear sonic difference of what you're actually getting with these three drum sets. The Tama Star line is their top of the line, and these are some of the finest drum sets made. Now, I love value drum sets, and we've done videos with, $500 price point, $1,000 price point, $1,500 price point. But as a guy who's been working in drum shops for almost 20 years, I get really excited over these incredibly high-end pieces and the attention to detail that goes into manufacturing these drums. It took 2 years to prototype the first Star, Bubinga, and Star Maple lines. They tried every different possible combination, very painstaking. And when you look at some of the details, like even the rubber on the bass drum spurs and the floor tom legs, it's a different consistency than you'll see on the other Tama drums or any other brand. They just really were so fastidious about making every little detail lend it to the optimal sound. Something else that's sort of important to note is that most Tama drum sets all ship with Evans drum heads. Well, the Star drums ship with Remo heads because they felt that on these particular drums, the Remo heads sounded better. So that really just sort of gives you an inkling into the lack of compromise on this line. So, they had to inventory a whole new brand of drum heads just because they felt they sounded better on these drums. It just sort of tells you how important it was to them to make the best sounding set of drums that they could. They're incredibly expensive for a store like us to bring on board, but they are really important to us. I mean, they are really driving the innovation in this industry and just creating the new sounds, and they're incredibly special drums. So we're really, really excited to present these to you. If you want some more information on these kits that you're seeing in the video, look down below in the description. We have a link that'll bring you right to those kits. And subscribe to our YouTube channel because we keep bringing you these videos and you'll be the first to know when that happens. Bubinga's a different sound. It's a different delivery, it's a different feeling. And so at first, it was very alien to me to play these drums. There was definitely a break-in period, if you will. Now, they just have a slightly round top on that bearing edge. Round bearing edges are very popular these days. I'm not as much of a big fan of them myself, but what Tama has done with their bearing edge is that it's not a dramatic round edge, but it just gives you just the right amount of attack and a very full, robust, round sound. And something I've noticed when I've played other Tama drum sets is that I sometimes feel like I really need to smack them, and you just don't with these. They are incredibly musical with just the even lightest of touch.
Star Bubinga shell construction is something we haven't seen before. It's very unique. It's a pretty thin 4.5 millimeter shell, and they do a nice extra ply of Cordia or Boss, depending on what your finish is, on the inside as well as the outside. And they put some pretty thick 9 millimeter sound focus rings on the top and bottom, and it really helps accentuate kind of the initial attack of these drums. They're very precise. The stick sound is actually surprisingly bright, but that dark Bubinga wood does kind of balance the sound out, keeps them still very warm sounding. They would sit in the mix very well. If you're playing, you know, gospel, fusion, funk, anything where you're doing lots of kind of articulate fills, these are great drums for that. They speak very clearly and very quick. The response is there, the tone is there. They're excellent.
This kit is, I mean, gorgeous. When I walked upstairs to shoot we were shooting the video, and I just looked at the kit with the gloss Sycamore, it was just took me right aback. They're really gorgeous, gorgeous drums. I mean, look at the grain on these toms. It's just gorgeous. There's no flaws anywhere on this thing. It is just beautiful. Star Maple drums are a different shell layup than the Bubinga, like the way the shell is laid up. It has a very thick core center ply. And what they were sort of trying to do there, or what I think they were trying to do, was get the solid ply, one-piece shell type vibe out of a set of drums. I feel like they might be a bit more dynamic than the Bubinga drums, and more round sounding, where the Bubingas will have a little bit more of attack. And so this is a drum set for somebody that wants just that ideal maple sound that has a bit of the old world sound coupled with that modern sound.
maples do have that kind of nice mapley, warm mid-range to them. That's definitely boosted in these more so than you would find in the Bubingas. They would tune up really well for jazz and that sort of thing and still sound very round. The kit that we're using here is a little bit bigger, kind of a rock kit, so we kind of kept it at a medium-low kind of tuning, and they're very full sounding, very responsive still. You still get that nice, clear stick attack, but just a little more mid-range presence, which makes them sound very round. I really like these drums. Lastly, we have the Star Walnut series. We have a slightly different configuration for this one. It's a 22 by 18 bass drum like the other kits. 10 by 8, 12 by 9 toms, so slightly deeper. 14 by 12, 16 by 14, slightly shallower in the floor toms. We wanted to include this just to kind of give you the whole scope of the entire Star series. The Star Walnut shells are a little different than the Maple and Bubinga shells. They don't have reinforcement. Still relatively thin shells, 5mm toms, 6mm bass drums. They do resonate very well, but as you usually find with Walnut, you get that sort of maple sound just kind of boosted and a little angrier and a little darker, a little more low-end presence. Still good clarity of the stick, but less so, I would say, than the Maple and the Bubinga. I wouldn't say that they're muddy or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination, but they are just a little darker and fuzzier overall. Really, really great rock drums. They're just big and beefy sounding.
Now, we've done video demos on these in the past. Walnut is the lowest tone wood of all of these three, and I like to tune my drums relatively low, so I was really excited about these drums. But they also have a bit of a bright attack, so there is almost a birch-like quality to these drums. They have a very robust sound, especially on the kick and the floor toms. They're a little more ferocious down there, and I feel like the toms have just the right amount of flamma, flamma, flamma sound. They really, really stick right out. The Walnut drums are designed to be low, low, low. And so for somebody like me who's playing them acoustically with no mics, that really, really appeals to me. When it's mic'd up, I just rely on an engineer to bring out the right frequencies in them.
Tama spent a lot of time developing the shells on these Star drums, and they definitely didn't skimp on the hardware either. There's a lot of nice features all over these drums. The first being the mounting system. The 3-point resonance system is really, really slick, does its job very well. It suspends the drum kind of at 3 different points and sort of allows that shell to resonate, all while staying very much out of the way of the look of the shell. The quick lock tom brackets are one of the best innovations I've seen in a while. Set your drum up wherever you want it on your tom arm, and then when it's time to take it off, you flip the switch, lift it right up, and off it goes. And then when it's time to set up again, that bracket is there waiting for you to put that drum right back where it went. They also feature that on the floor tom legs as well, so your height and your angle is always consistent no matter where you set up. These drums also have Tama's zinc die-cast hoops. They allow for very easy tuning, very consistent tuning, and they will keep your drums in tune for a long, long time.
Here we do snare drums. That's our thing. If you know who we are, we're sort of known as the snare drum people. We have the largest display of snare drums anywhere, and we specialize in the most expensive and the most vast array of snare drums at any price point. But these Star Series snare drums are really serious. The one we're playing today, solid ply, Zebrawood, but they do mahogany, maple, and then they make plied maple. And then there's the Star Reserve snare drums that are incredibly popular. The hammered copper is great, the Jatoba, that Bubinga Claro Walnut. I mean, I could go on and on. Their snare drums are really, really nice. Hi, I'm Shane with the Drum Center of Portsmouth in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, quite possibly the largest independently owned drum store in the world. We didn't start out that way. In In 2009, we were the smallest drum store, but we believed in creating a unique experience for customers where we could get them what they needed at great pricing and with great service. If you find these videos helpful, please click the subscribe button. That way you can get informed whenever we put new ones up.